Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of The Hot Seat. I, of course, am your host, Leo Brady, film critic for AMovieGuy.com. And today, my guest is somebody who is just a continuous rising star in cinema, an amazing actor, somebody who you've seen in movies such as Charlie's Angels, Run, Sweetheart, Run, and Resident Evil. And today we're here to talk about her amazing new performance in this film, The Occupant. This is Ella Balinska. Ella, thanks for being with me here today.
Intro. Thank you so much.
Well,
Wow.
so we start off this show with the same question, the same first question for everybody. What movie for you comes to mind? What was the movie that made you say, "Oh, I want to do that. I want to be an actor"?
I think you meant this one, but actor full stop.
Yeah.
Avatar, 100%.
Wow.
Yeah, Avatar was my movie that I remember watching Zoe Saldana do her thing in that and was like, it was the first time I watched a movie and was like, I want to be on set doing this.
For
As
that.
opposed to, "Oh, I want to be on Pandora." Like, no, like I really would love that as a job. So yeah.
Yeah, that's an amazing one to pick too, because like the craft and the process of like acting in those movies is way different than probably what your typical set is.
Yeah, 100%. I remember seeing like the BTS and being like, this is like one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting too about your career. Like, even it's also kind of not too surprising that that's the movie that you would choose because, like, I was looking, at your biography and things of that nature. But like, you were a javelin thrower for the Team Europe at one point.
Yeah, for I was in London 100%. You
You're
wouldn't think it, but I've got a really mean right arm,
Well, I was gonna
apparently.
say you're clearly an incredible athlete, and that sort of gives you an idea of the movies and the roles that you've chosen. Is that true? Like, would you say that?
It definitely gave me an edge that I wasn't really anticipating to translate like that.
Yeah.
I, trained for 7 years in drama school, and then one of the modules was in stage combat, which is obviously quite physical, and it just kind of came second nature. I don't even really need to think about like my body in space at all.
Right.
Um, and then I loved the challenge of being able to do that combined with the emotion, like carrying the emotional weight of something.
Yeah.
So that's why a project like The Occupant was so appealing to me because it was quite literally that, whether you wanted it to be or not.
Yeah.
It's so physically demanding.
Well, and I was gonna say too, I mean, your filmography, Charlie's Angels, Run, Sweetheart, Run, Resident Evil, now The Occupant, you're basically an action star. I mean, was that sort of like, is that something that you aspired to be? I mean, you talk about Zoe Saldana being kind of that action star in Avatar. That is kind of where you're headed. Not that you haven't done dramatic stuff too, but like, I mean, you really know
Yeah.
how to like kick butt, but also like put your body through a lot.
Thank you. I think I definitely have a level of physical resilience that a lot of people don't. And I love the idea that if, there's a producer out there that's thinking of, or a director out there that's thinking of putting a film together, that I would be on that short list of action heroines. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Well, now I'm going to be thinking into existence Avatar 4 and 5 because they're going to have to cast.
Listen, I have said from day one, I'm like, they keep making these movies, and I'm like, where is the audition? Even if it's just the audition, I'm like, how
Right.
do I get in contact with this casting department?
Well, we're going to put it out into the world. I mean, well, and looking at your at some of the movies that you've made, maybe it's a beautiful accident with like Run, Sweetheart, Run, with Charlie's Angels, and even like movies like The Occupant and Skincare. Like, there's a lot of these stories. You've worked with female directors. A lot of these films are sort of like really sort of they're important stories about the experience of women, of like what they are going through or what their day-to-day lives are like.
Yeah.
Is that a happy accident, or do you have a little bit of intention in behind that?
Honestly, it's a mixture of both. I'm
Yeah.
like, I find myself when I'm reading these scripts, I'm like, I really like that. Like, because honestly, I'm like, if I'll be totally real, I'll get an email from my agent and I'm like, yay, story time. And I'll just open the script
Yeah.
and just read it. And I like haven't actually read the like the amble that comes beforehand, or I probably should.
Yeah.
Um, and like 9 times out of 10 with this average, it's been from a female writer
Yeah.
or director.
Yeah.
And that's I think really cool and a sign of the times.
Yeah.
And then also too, I then end up meeting the people that I might work with, and I'm like, that's a really cool vision that you've got, and I'm really on board with it.
Yeah.
And so then there is obvious intention there. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd say it's a bit of a mix.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's hard to not like keep your eye on something like that because it's great to have attention to it, intention for like uplifting women, uplifting communities that continue to hopefully be continue getting more of these projects put
Yeah,
together. Uh,
too.
well, let's talk about the Occupant. I mean, geez, what a physical performance for you. You're dealing with weather elements, putting your body through like rigorous physical work. How did you prepare for this role? I mean, is the weather part the part you can not prepare for at all? I mean, you looked cold in certain moments.
Yeah, I was. I will say the preparation for this role was really interesting. This project originally came across my desk in 2019.
Yeah,
Um, and I was in a space, I just shot Charlie's, I just finished Run Sweetheart Run. And
yeah,
this was before Resident Evil was even on the table. And I was, like just ready for that challenge. I was so in the mood for it.
right.
Then 2020 happened.
Yeah,
Then I got Resident Evil, which was a huge challenge in itself. And you can do all the background on that.
yeah.
Then it got to 2022 and we ended up, shooting this. And I'm like, you know what? I'm exhausted. I am like so tired. And th- I I think that was such a truth for me that the character is also in that position.
Yeah, wow, yeah,
Too much, distance away from how I was feeling in my own life
yeah,
with how she, obviously the intention and what she was going through was different,
right.
but just the general feeling um was just so real. So I kind of went into onto set day one, and I remember saying to Hugo, sitting down with him when we were like, right, let's get down to brass tacks. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Um, um, and I just remember saying to him, dude, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not gonna like try and be obviously, when you're leading a project, you want to, get the crew motivated and you want to keep spirits high. But
Yeah.
I'm like, you mate, I was like, if I'm miserable on set that day, it's probably because I'm miserable on set that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're really gonna be in the elements doing this thing. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'd be silly if I didn't use those emotions towards this character.
Yeah.
Um, so then we were like, okay, great. Straight away, it was just no BS, just into that sort of raw emotion of it. I then went and found out. I was like, why did you write this truly? Like, because it went through a couple of drafts by the time we ended up shooting it.
Right.
And Hugo will be able to speak on the reasons why he wrote it a lot more eloquently than I could. But it was so raw and it was so real and quite, painful. I was like, wow, okay, we're really going to do this justice now.
Yeah.
Um, and the thing I love about the parallel between that and then the character, normally you have these characters in a plane crash and then they gotta survive and save the world because there's a secret recipe for something. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is heroic like that
Right.
by standard.
Right.
This is simply the main character trying to get home to see her dying sister.
Yeah.
And that is quite humble and quite quiet. And she's not changing the world at all.
Right.
Uh, but for her, it changes her world, and that is what the driving force is for
Yeah.
her to be able to get through everything. She wants to go home, and quite frankly, me as Ella Balinska, I want to go home too. So
Right.
there
Right.
was a lovely parallel there with that. And then slap on top, you've then got the elements that when it's one of those things where you're like, this will be a great idea at the time. Um, And then we were in the thick of it and we were like, wow, thank goodness for this local Georgian crew because
Yeah,
they are so resilient. Um, we're shooting on this like 2 kilometers up on the side of a mountain, carrying the equipment up ourselves. We're, like literally t sometimes tying ourselves to the mountain just to make sure that we're like safe.
right.
It's freezing cold. The winds, sometimes it's crazy snow, sometimes it's fog, it's just you never really know. We're fighting against the daylight. So we might not be so far north as like Alaska, say.
Right.
However, the Caucasus Mountains are very high, so we only have the sun over the mountains for a certain amount of time, which is something you have to consider.
Yeah.
And then the big one is the snow continuity. You can't shoot that again.
Right.
Once you walked in the snow,
Right.
you're then restricted to, like a 3T. That's it.
Yeah.
So these big wide shots, you could only shoot them once.
Well,
Um,
and the cinematography
yeah.
is gorgeous. The cinematography is just gorgeous in this thing as well. It's like on
It's
top
a joke where I'm like, if I'm not in the movie, it's a brilliant nature documentary.
of yeah,
Like
yes, absolutely. Uh,
David Attenborough would have a field day with this.
yeah. Well, and so it's interesting. There a lot of these characters that you've played, whether it's Jane Kano, Sherry in Run Sweet or Run, now Abby in The Occupant, you know, there is a lot of resilience. You talked about resilience, and there's a lot of sort of there's definitely metaphor here for what a person will put themselves through. Again, you kind of answered my question, but I really think like yes, maybe the metaphor could be hitting people on top of the head, but I think like that authenticity of everything you guys put yourself through really shines through on the screen because it felt like, you know what? If I needed to see a metaphor for what it was like to fight for somebody you love or to, be doing something to save somebody's life, this would be it, right? I mean, did you feel like it all just matched perfectly?
It was quite serendipitous a lot of the time
Yeah,
with that tonally. Um, again, Hugo the true serendipity lies in Hugo and the story and the writing itself and things that was parallels that were happening with him.
yeah,
Uh, but we're not trying to save the world. I think we were really just trying to tell this really emotional story that I think a lot of us can relate to.
yeah,
And it's also quite metaphorical in that idea of the more that you struggle, sometimes the harder things get.
yeah,
And sometimes you just gotta like let it go and
right.
then it sort of works itself out, maybe not in the way you might have wanted to,
Mhm.
but the way it kind of needed to,
Yeah.
which is the journey that this character goes on for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, all right, they're telling me I need to wrap up, but I do want to ask you one more question, and it's a Charlie's Angels question because it's so impressive how all three of you, after you made that film, have like honestly, all three of you have kind of like grabbed the bull by the horns and not let be put in a box or let anything dictate, what you guys have done. I look at, you doing The Occupant now, Kristen Stewart's nominated for an Oscar, and Naomi Scott is like kicking ass in Smile 2. I don't know if you saw her in that. It's like unbelievable. Are the three of you just like connected forever because of that film? Is there just a great friendship that came along out of that movie, at least? And even like Elizabeth Banks too, I'm assuming.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure. I think any movie where it's just women bonded like that, it's gonna be that experience.
Yeah.
And even like the on set and then also offset, even during press,
Yeah.
we traveled the world basically together doing that.
Yeah.
And so it's just this lovely, even if we're not, talking every day, it's just so nice to see the other winning. I think
Yeah.
it's just one of those kind of relationships. It's really nice.
Yeah. That's great. All right, Ella Balinska, thank you so much. Congratulations again. The Occupant will be in select theaters August 8th. Can't wait for everybody to see it. Your performance is spectacular again. So thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you so, so much for your time,
Yes.
Leo.
Yeah, take care.
See you. Bye.